Jesus H. Christ on a bike with stabilizers. And no bell for any reason whatsoever. And he's not wearing a safety helmet like you really should, apparently. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. What the smeg has been going on in the world over the last couple of years? Jesus, where to begin? First of all, we'll start with the YouTube problem, shall we? Welcome to another edition of Random Bollocks. I don't know what number this is because I can't fucking remember, and I can't be asked to go and look at my old account to find out which fucking edition this is. But once I get that account going again, this will put on it, so this will confuse the hell out of people. But anyway, first of all, what's the fuck's been going on with YouTube? I mean, let's see, you've got the obvious issue. If you're one of these people who monetizes your videos, which I didn't even think they still fucking did anymore, because you weren't fuck all, and they suddenly decide that they want to demonetize you and make sure you can't get any of the money you fucking had, because they did that to me a few years back. If you're one of these people who monetizes your videos, for some reason now, if you swear within the first 30 seconds, you get demonetized. Just that individual video, not all your videos, just that one video. So if you start the video by going, fucking hell man, you're screwed. You're not monetizing that video for some reason. Okay, fair enough. Whatever, who gives a fucking shit? But I have noticed an interesting trend. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, obviously, and even though I couldn't sign in, I was watching still. And obviously now I have this account so I can sign in and I can leave comments. First of all, when the fuck did they decide that you can no longer send someone a message? When did that disappear? Now you can only post a comment on the video and that is it. And if you want to message someone, they have to have allowed their email address to be shown on their account so you can send them an email instead. YouTube is now encouraging us to use other ways to contact people rather than using the way that was founded on the fucking site in the first place. The ability to private message people on YouTube was bloody brilliant. Of all the things that Google could have done to fuck up YouTube, they decided to remove the ability to message someone? Really? What the fuck, man? And what the fuck have they done with this uploading procedure? Jesus, it's so much more fucking complicated now. All I want to do is upload my video so people can watch it. No, I have to fuck about waiting for it to upload, and then I can sort out whether or not I want it to be in high definition, and all that other sort of bullshit that you do when you upload a video, as you all know. This is needlessly complicated. Just put it back to the way it was. It worked fine, for God's sake. Oh, what's the other thing? Oh, users on YouTube, especially video uploaders like myself. There's a lot of you out there, and I'm sure you all know who I'm aiming at. I've got no particular problems with either one of you, really, but I do have a general issue with regards to most YouTube uploaders, and that issue is this: quit fucking censoring yourself. If you're uploading a video talking about how this person's a paedophile, or that person's a rapist, or this person got raped, or this person committed suicide, or whatever, just upload it as it is. Don't bleep out the word, don't cut out the word if it's written down or anything like in an article or whatever, don't blur it out or whatever, right? Just upload the video as it is. Because the more you censor yourself, the more the rest of us get censored. You're just you're creating and then perpetuating a problem, and then exacerbating that situation. Yes, I use a lot of long words. I do apologise if anyone doesn't understand what the fuck I just said. But basically, whenever you, whoever you are, decide not to use a word like rape, murder, suicide, mass shootings, that was one that's been uploaded recently to do with mass shootings, right? Whenever people out there decide not to use those words, to censor those words however they can, it means the rest of us will then no longer have the ability to do so. And YouTube is a great website where you can upload videos of your opinions and of the facts, if you're one of those sorts of persons that uploads fact videos. And it really is a great platform for freedom of speech. And when you restrict your speech, which you do because you want to, or whatever, right, you therefore restrict my speech. Because Google or YouTube or whoever it is decides, oh, this many people don't want to use the word rape anymore, or don't like the word rape anymore, so no one else can use the word rape anymore. And so on and so forth. Same with all other words. Now, there are a lot of words out there that are being self-censored by people and are causing me a mild amount of annoyance. I'd like to go through some of the words right now and just say them randomly for no reason at all, with absolutely no context. So no one can read anything into what I'm saying. I'm just saying the words. Here we go. Rape, murder, suicide, mass shootings, terrorist, drugs, smoking for some reason, alcohol. Notice that one as well. But some people don't want to use the words alcohol. You know, especially when like talking about DUI and stuff like that. Oh, they was arrested for... They was arrested for what? They was arrested for DUI, apparently. But the more you censor yourself, the worse you make it for the rest of us. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. I've been a member of this website now, on and off, you know, as with my old account, which this video will end up on eventually, so that's going to confuse people, for well over 12 years. And I have never, ever had to censor myself in any way, shape or form. So the fact that people have started doing so is bloody ridiculous. Now pack it in. Furthermore, with regards to like self-censorship and problems like that on YouTube, I can't remember what was I going to say. Oh well, it'll come back to me. Let's move on to the next issue, shall we? Right. Transgender problems. Oh God, there's been a lot of transgender problems over the last few years, haven't there? You know, I've been watching a lot of videos of people on both sides of the argument, but more one side than the other, of people talking about transgender issues and some of the problems that they have with it and whatever, and the backlash and things, people arguing the toss about it and whatever, you know, arguing the toss, that's a weird phrase. But anyway, I've been watching people like Blair White, Book Angel, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro. They're all on one particular side of the discussion, and I think out of the entire group of them, I'd rather listen to Blair White and Book Angel, since they both know what the fuck they're talking about more than anyone else. Because as transsexual people themselves, they know exactly how to discuss such issues and how to properly convey the stupidity that has been coming out of people over the last couple of years. I mean, the first one that I'm really taking issue with is this new term, maps. Now, for those who don't know, apart from being a paper document you use to find yourself to find your way around, I suppose usually these days you use sat-nav, I suppose, but there used to be a thing called a map that you used to look at. But no, that's not the maps I'm talking about. I'm talking about maps, which stands for Minor Attracted Persons, which is like a really polite way of saying paedophile. which is another word that YouTube likes to censor themselves about. Other YouTube users talking about these sort of things have all blurted out the word that they said the word paedophile, and if they show an article that refers to a paedophile, they blur that out on the screen or put a black box over it or something like that. But yeah, paedophile is one of these words that people keep censoring. Now, so these maps are essentially paedophiles. Now, obviously, a lot of people have a problem with these, as they probably should. However, I want to point something out. A very important distinction. I also want to point out that I've been holding this fag this whole time and I haven't stuck it in my mouth and started smoking it yet. And it looks a bit like a spliff. It's not a spliff, don't worry. I don't do drugs. Now, there's a big distinction and difference. If that makes sense. It didn't make sense in my head. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you. There's a big difference between your ordinary everyday paedophile and your person who touches and has sexual relations with children. The difference is the paedophile has a sexual attraction to children but may not do anything about it and may not even know until very later on in life. The person who touches and does something sexual with a child is usually referred to as a child molester, which are people who may or may not be paedophiles. They may not be paedophiles in the first place. They just decide that they want to do something sexual to a child or with a child, or have the child do something sexual for them. You can guess what I mean by all that without going into all the details. So there's a difference between the two, because the first group, the paedophiles or the maps, whatever they want to fucking call each of themselves now, right? They might fancy a child. They might have a sexual attraction to the child, in the same way I will have a sexual attraction to a woman, or a gay man might have a sexual attraction to another man, or a lesbian might have an attraction to a woman, you know, that sort of thing, right? Whereas the second group, the child molester, may not all be paedophiles, but will decide to do something sexual to a child. Whether they're attracted to them or not makes no fucking difference, right? And there's an important distinction between the two. Now, the reason I'm talking about this, the reason why it's so important to me, is because with the way the whole transgender issue is going, paedophiles, or mats, whatever they want to fucking call themselves, may possibly end up being accepted within society. And I'm not sure I like that. I mostly disagree with that whole idea, but I do see it going that way. And here's why. Because the paedophile, as the actual paedophile, not the one that's touching the kids, but just the paedophile himself or herself, has a natural, inborn attraction to children, which obviously they don't know about until they become adults, right? Because obviously if they're attracted to a child while they're still a child, it makes no difference, does it? If your 14-year-old boy fancies a 14-year-old girl, you ain't going to think there's anything weird about that. But when he gets to the age of 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever, still fancies 13, 14-year-old girls or boys, well, then it becomes an issue, doesn't it? But it's what they call a natural inbuilt attraction. You're born with it. You don't know about it till you're old enough, but you're born with it, which is exactly the same as being straight, gay, lesbian, whatever. So that creates an interesting argument. Either A, because of these liberal idiots that are out there, it creates this argument. Either A, we legalise being a paedophile, or a map, or whatever you want to fucking call them, because it's a natural inbuilt attraction that cannot be changed, much like being gay. Or we continue to keep that illegal, but therefore we should also make being gay and lesbian illegal, because if this inborn attraction cannot be accepted in society, neither can this. And if this one can, so can this. And this is where the liberal mentality is going. Well done. You're taking us down a path to legalise paedophilia. Well done, you fucking morons. Or ban being gay again. Can't see that particular side of the argument winning, so there's only obviously one choice. I don't like that, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that don't like that either. Now, of course, this obviously doesn't affect actual child molesters, because they're going to do it whether they fancy the child or not. Doesn't make any real difference to them. You can hate paedophiles as much as you like, but it doesn't make any difference to the actual child molester, because he may not actually be a paedophile, he may just be a bit of a weirdo. Well, I say a bit of a weirdo, I mean a lot of a weirdo. I mean, I'm a bit of a weirdo, aren't I? You know, you all know that. But I mean a complete and total fucking nutcase. These people have got serious fucking mental issues. But then again, so have the people out there that are fucking promoting transgenderism. I mean, just right here, in my own country of England, I'm still in England by the way, you know, you might recognise the wrong side, dickhead, you might still recognise the pictures I've got on my wall, the same wall, the same curtains. Got a new thing behind me, I don't know what the fuck that is. Stack of books, I think. Right here in England, we have a school in the south of England somewhere, not entirely sure where they have a student, female, who identifies as a cat. Okay, fair enough, she identifies as a cat. Who gives a shit, right? She identifies as, she wants to identify as a cat, fair enough. She can walk around meowing as much as she fucking likes. It just makes her a bit fucking strange, doesn't it? Eh? Bet she's got no friends. But her parents took it upon themselves to go to the school and say to the school that she identifies as a cat so much, and of course we have to accept what people identify as these days, we have to be going along with it, right? I'll come back to that in just a second, because that provides an interesting argument, right? But she identifies as a cat so much that the school has had to put a cat litter tray in the girls' toilet for her to piss and shit in whenever she goes to the loo. Now, can you imagine your child walks into the toilet and they see a girl squatting over a fucking cat litter tray to have a shit or a piss? I mean, come on. How fucking ridiculous can you get? And of course that creates the interesting issue that I was leading into. Because if someone identifies as something and we all have to go along with that, we're all compelled to go along with it, innit? You know, if I say I'm a black lesbian dog, you have to treat me as a black lesbian dog. How you get a black lesbian dog, I have no idea. But if I said I was one of them, you have to treat me as though I actually am one. So, by that logic, if this girl identifies as a cat, and everyone has to agree and go along with the fact that she is a cat, by her own definition, why the fuck is she at school? Because as far as I'm aware, cats can't get a fucking education. She should also be walking around on all fours, not be wearing any clothes, meow all the time, and she should be eating cat food. But I guarantee that at home and at school she's not eating fucking kitty cat or Whiskers. She's eating human food. Cats don't eat human food. Well, they can eat a little bit, but not much, right? If I have to treat this girl as a fucking cat, I'm going to treat this girl as a fucking cat. And I'm going to treat her as a proper fucking cat. She is now a pet. She doesn't have the rights of a human being. She has the rights of an animal. A fucking hair in the way of my face. She has the rights of an animal, not of a human being. She can't get an education. She can't get a job. She can't rent a house. She can't wear clothes, she can't walk on two legs, and she can't fucking talk English. You want me to treat you as a cat? I will treat you as a cat, but you better fucking act like one. And you will eat fucking Whiskers and cat biscuits and Dreamies. And you will become my pet. Not that I want a full-sized human child as a pet cat, but you know what I mean. Because if you're going to do it, go the whole hog. It's the same with women wanted equality. Because that brings me nicely onto that. Eh? In America at the moment, there's a lot of uproar to do with women and equality. You see, women wanted equality. They complained for years about wanting equality. Now they have to be subject to the draft of the American army, and they're all complaining about it. Oh, I'm not being drafted. Yeah, you'll have to put me in prison, won't you? Yeah. Sorry, love. You wanted equality. Now you're equal. So now you're as subject to the draft as the men are in the country. Get used to it, bitch. You asked for it, you got it. You made your bed, now lie in it. Because at the end of the day, you campaigned for years for equality. In fact, now you actually want more rights than the men have, but you know, good luck with that. Same with transgender people, because that leads me nicely back into transgender people. They're always talking about, by using incorrect pronouns or whatever, we're infringing on their rights as human beings. No, you have the same rights as the rest of us. We all have the same rights as human beings. And me not calling you miss by accident is not infringing on your rights. It is not infringing on your life. It is not causing you pain and suffering. If I accidentally misgender someone, fucking tough shit. At the end of the day, I may possibly apologise for it. But don't get on your fucking high horse being all your hoity-toity, making your stupid fucking TikTok videos. People misgendering me. I've seen them. I've seen people on YouTube here reacting to videos on TikToks of people going on about being misgendered and all bunch of crying, whiny baby losers. Keep being misgendered at work. Fucking grow up. And for that matter, let me just answer one simple question that's been going around on the internet and been going around the world. What is a woman? A woman is an adult human female. Saying that does not make me transphobic. It does not make me bigoted. It is a fucking dictionary definition. And if you don't believe me, look at your fucking dictionary. Right. So what else has been going on recently? Oh yeah, the whole Israel situation. Now that's interesting. The whole Israel-Palestine country. I'm going to like this fucking fact. Fuck it. Bear with me. Yes, the whole Israel-Palestine situation. Now, there are problems on both sides of this particular argument, but let me lay out some facts for you. I've studied the history. I know what I'm talking about. Modern day Israel, as it is, was basically granted to the Jews by us, the English. Unfortunately, we're the problem. Back in the 40s or 50s or something like that. Because it was given to us to deal with after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. And it was handed off to us to decide what to do with it, and we said, well, give it back to the Jews. Give it back to the Jews. There is the key word, give it back to them. As in it was theirs in the first place. Which it was. Because modern day Israel, where it is, basically stands where the ancient area known as Judea was. And Judea was the land of the Jews. Now over the course of several years, especially with conquests and things, a lot of the Jews in that area were displaced and made to go fuck off somewhere else. But a few of them remained. Jerusalem, of course, has been a multicultural city in the middle of modern day Israel for many centuries, and Jews have been living there side by side with Muslims and Christians and Hindus and God knows what else, all throughout human history up to this day. Right? So Jews have always been there, and everyone that lives in that area, especially within Jerusalem, knows that that land actually belongs to the Jews. But the Jews are quite welcoming of everyone. That's why they all live together in Jerusalem, side by side. The Jews and the Muslims and the Christians all go down to the coffee shop together and have a cup of coffee and sit and have a chat. Some of their best friends are people of other religions, right? Okay. So the land belongs to the Jews. Now they gave the West Bank and the Gaza Strip to what is known as the Palestinians. Now there's no such thing as a Palestinian, technically, because there's no such country as Palestine. The term Palestine was created by the Romans back in the day to take the piss out of the Philistines, which mainly lived in the area. Which of course were Jews, predominantly. Now, the so-called Palestinians that live in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank don't actually belong there. And not long after being given the land, the Jews being given the land from what it was like, giving the land back to them, right? The Jews gave the lands of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank to these Muslim peoples that are now known as Palestinians. Upon which the Palestinians, especially the ones in Gaza, immediately started attacking the Jews. Now, one of the slogans that's being bandied about in protest marches and things recently is "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." I'd like to make a small change to that, if I may. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free from Hamas. And it seems the Palestinians agree with this, because just recently I've heard on the news that the Palestinian people living in Gaza are rising up against Hamas and basically helping the Israeli forces to drive them out, because they're sick of Hamas being a bunch of dickheads. Of course, people in this country and in America and in Germany and stuff like that don't seem to get this, and they seem to want to support Hamas, which even our very own BBC will not refer to as a terrorist organisation, even though they are. They are. They're terrorists. There, I said it. What are you going to do about it? They're terrorists. They're as bad as fucking ISIS, if not worse. In fact, they're worse. They are worse. Because ISIS weren't setting up their fucking missile launchers and things in school playgrounds and making their base of operation underneath a fucking hospital, in the hope that bombing the hospital to get them would kill lots of innocent civilians so they could blame the Israelis for that. Which they actually tried to do a couple of weeks ago when one of Hamas's own stray rockets hit the hospital, and they tried to blame the Israelis. Now there are a couple of countries over there, Muslim countries, that have actually sided with Israel in the conflict, which is rather interesting. I've heard that Saudi Arabia have sided with Israel. That's a bit of a surprise to me, but also some welcome news, because obviously Saudi Arabia, they're a pretty large country, they've got a relatively good military force. I'm sure if it comes to a physical conflict, then they decide to physically get involved and they come in on the side of Israel, that would definitely bolster Israel's military forces. The rather interesting thing about the Israeli-Gaza conflict is when the attacks happened on the 7th of November, or whenever it was, I can't remember now, it's a few weeks ago, a lot of Muslims, a lot of Jews, rather, from around the world immediately took flights back home to Israel to join the army to fight back. But I didn't see any Muslims from Palestine going back to join in the fight on that side. Interesting. And it seems that none of the other Muslim countries around that area want any of the Palestinians in their country. Egypt told them to fuck off, close their border. A couple of other countries told them to fuck off, they don't want them there either. Now obviously that makes me feel sorry for the innocent Palestinian civilians that are out there, because obviously they're just caught up in the conflict. Hopefully not too many of them get killed. Israel seems to know what they're doing with regards to the attacks they're making. But it's always put on the internet, and you've probably seen the videos, they're out there, or all the propaganda that says Israel have been blockading the Palestinians for years and treat them like shit and blah de blah de blah and all this sort of stuff. Israel had a problem. But when you really look into it, that's not entirely true. Because if you talk to some actual Arab, Muslim people from Gaza and the West Bank who live in Israel, especially the ones that live in Jerusalem, they paint an entirely different picture. Because it's basically said by those that are against Israel that they're sort of like an apartheid country, they keep people apart and that sort of thing, and they, you know, the way they treat non-Jews is not as good as the way they treat actual Jews, and so on and so forth. But you listen to the actual Muslims and Christians and other non-Jews who live in Israel, and they've painted an entirely different picture, basically saying that the Jews in Israel have been entirely welcoming, very accepting, and are happy to be very multicultural. More so than even the UK or America. Way more. And they've been like that for years, for decades, for centuries even. I mean, you can go back to the wars of the Holy Land if you want to, and you'll see that people still lived inside Jerusalem, at least, side by side of each other, no matter what their religion. So this whole apartheid shit is a load of bullshit. Shit is bullshit. Yeah. That makes sense, doesn't it? It did to me. But yeah, I mean, there's so many fucking problems in the world at the moment, and they all need sorting out. And now I'm running out of things to talk about. Oh yes, let's dip back into the transgender idea for my last point before I end the video. And let's talk about one thing in particular. There is no such thing as non-binary. Only women can have periods and get pregnant. And people like Jeffrey Marsh, who go around saying, oh, there's no such thing as a boy or a girl, they can get fucked. And if you disagree with any of those statements I've just made, you can get fucked as well, because you're part of the problem. And that includes if you work in the medical profession, the school profession, because you shouldn't be fucking teaching kids that shit for a start. I've been hearing about some of the fucking horribly graphic books that kids are now able to get from their school libraries. It's fucking sick and disgusting. And all the crap that teachers have been teaching the kids. You're there to teach them what you're meant to teach them. Teach them that. You don't need to be telling them that you've got a lesbian girlfriend and that you used to be a man. They don't need to know that. And stop socially transitioning the kids against their parents' will. You don't know what's best for the kids, the parents do. If you pulled anything like that with my kids, not that I've got any that I know of, right, but if I had some, and you were trying to pull any of that sort of shit with my kids, you'd have me down at the fucking school before you could say boo. And I'll either pull my kid out of your fucking school, or me and you will have some serious fucking words. Because it's fucking disgusting what you're teaching kids these days in schools. Teach them what you're supposed to teach them. Maths, English, IT, fucking geography, history, all that stuff. And stop trying to indoctrinate them into your woke bullshit. Because we're all pretty fucking sick of it. Because I tell you what, Muslims and Christians don't always get along. But I've seen videos of Muslims and Christians standing side by side outside these schools complaining about what you're fucking teaching their kids. And it's bloody ridiculous. So pack the fuck up. Other than that, stay tuned for some more videos coming from me very soon. and I'll think of something to upload. I don't know what. But yeah, thank you for watching, and stay tuned. Oh, and feel free to go and check out some of the people I mentioned, like Blair White. If I can, I'll put links in the description of how you can get to some of their channels and things like that. If I can figure out how to use this fucking site again after 2.5 years, or longer actually. Other than that, I'll just find some way of doing it. I don't fucking know. But you know, whatever. Keep calm and carry on. And don't believe all the bullshit that you hear.